Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited to have you here. In this video, we're going to be talking about whether or not you should consider opening a business in the US. So I know that there are a couple of us that don't have the features that people who are residents or citizens of the US have. And because of that, we've been looking into whether we should register a business such as an LLC or a corporation in the US versus maybe opening it in another place like the UK. So I'm making this video to show you like the pros and cons of actually registering your business in the US, the things that you should look out for, and how best to go about the process if you do decide that that's what you want to do. So if you want to learn that, please stay until the end of the video because I have a very special announcement for you. All right, let's get on with it. So if you're watching this video, you're probably somebody who is considering starting a business in the US. Now, I'm solely referring to people who are not resident or citizens of the US. If you're a US citizen or a US resident, this may not exactly apply to you. So for my international entrepreneurs, let's go about it. So the first thing that I think is a huge reason why you should consider opening your business in the US is because when you start your business in the US, you register it, you have access to a Stripe account, you'll be able to charge in USD. And why is this important? It's important because the USD is somewhat like the standard of all the exchanges that happen online, especially in online businesses. Now, in your local country where you live, your country of residence, you may be doing transactions in the currency that is local to that place. But when we start doing international transactions, it's much easier to keep everything in USD. Now, I know that there are different kinds of dollars, but everybody's just generally used to spending and buying things in USD. And then the second pro of actually registering your business in the US is that, although I've already mentioned this, but you are able to have access to Stripe. Now, there are a lot of us that maybe want to do an online business, have international clients, but collecting payments is a bit of a hassle, so you don't really know how to collect payments because you can't integrate with Stripe and all of that kind of things. But once you open your business in the US, you'll be able to have access to Stripe, and this is a very huge pro. And also, if you have majority of your clients in the US, or maybe the people that you're targeting for your products or whatever you're selling are people who live in the US, it adds an extra layer of credibility to you because, okay, now you're a registered business. You're no longer just like a random freelancer who is working online. There's that extra level of accountability and trust. So people are more likely to do business with you. Now, does this mean that as somebody who is registered in the UK, you cannot do business with people in the US? No, that's not true. But I'm just saying this for those that do have customers that are mainly in the US. All right, the next pro of registering your business in the US is that I feel like the US gives you more options. You have a lot of options to choose from, and let me explain. So when you want to register your business in the US as a non-resident, you have the option of picking any of the 50 states that the US currently has to register your business in. This means that you get the flexibility of choosing whichever state you want based on what the states have to offer. Now, somebody who lives in the US as a resident/citizen, they are most of the time they are restricted to registering their business in the states that they reside in. But because we're non-residents, we have the opportunity of registering almost anywhere. You just select what state you want, look at what they have to offer, and then you can register your business there. So why is this important? It's because you get to reduce the business costs that you can incur as somebody who has a business in the US, and that's always a plus, right? That's always a good thing. And the next thing I want to definitely touch on is the issue of taxes. So a lot of people are like, okay, this sounds like it's a good thing, but doesn't registering in the US automatically mean that I have to pay taxes in the US? And the answer is no, it doesn't automatically mean that you have to pay taxes in the US. So the way taxes in the US work, and before I continue, let me just say it, simple disclaimer here that I am not a tax professional and this is just for informational purposes only. But if you're somebody who is registered as a business in the US, every single person's tax obligation is completely dependent on their individual situation. What that essentially means is that I can have my business registered in the US, another person who is living somewhere else may register their business in the US, and I may not be obligated to pay tax in the US, while the other person may be required to pay taxes in the US. And why is this? This is because in general, taxes are based on three major criteria. Number one, your physical presence in the US. And that is, are you physically present in the US? Do you live there? And if you do not, if you do come to the US, so for example, you travel there and you stay there for a holiday or whatsoever, how long do you stay? On a general level, if you stay more than 183 days in the US, you are automatically, for the sake of taxes, recognized as a resident. So if you're not staying up to 180 days, which I think is 6 months? Yes, about 6 months in the US in any calendar year, then you're good to go for that tax year. The second thing you have to consider is, do you have any employees? Do you have anybody who is working full-time? Do you have a physical presence for your business in the US? So that essentially means that, do you have a building? Do you have an office that is physically located in the US? And if the answer is no, then you're off the hook for that part. And the final thing is your income effectively connected with the US? Now, this one is a bit vague, and there are lots of factors that go into determining it. But for the most part, many of us will not be required to, will not have income that is effectively connected. Now, you have to discuss with somebody who is a tax lawyer, tax and an accountant, to look at your business, how your money comes in and all of that, to fully determine whether or not your income is effectively connected with the US. But for the most part, it will not be. Now, knowing these three things, it means that as a non-resident, you're most likely not even going to be paying taxes. What you will be required to do at the end of each year is to actually report your income. So reporting basically means that you take all your books, all the profit, loss, everything that has happened in your business, and you send that report and file it with the federal government, with the IRS, and that would be it. You will not actually be required to pay a percentage of your profits into the tax system, and that would be it. But if you register your business in somewhere like the UK, you're required to pay a fixed fee. I think it starts at 19 or 15%, I'm not sure. Now, that's one of the major differences. Another reason why I really love the idea of registering your business in the US is that you avoid things like value-added tax. So a lot of European registered businesses, people who register businesses in places like Estonia and other places, they are usually required to collect VAT, that's VAT tax. Now, to be honest, it confuses the living daylight out of me, so I don't really know much about value-added tax. But what I know for sure is that it's one extra thing that you need to worry about as a business owner who is international. Now, the final thing that you want to put into consideration if you're looking into registering your business in the US is to see if your country has ties with the US. So there are these things that are called tax treaties that the US sometimes goes into these agreements with some countries where if you have income, if you're required to pay tax in the US, you don't have to pay the tax again in your country, or vice versa, that kind of situation. So you want to also check if your country has tax treaties. The reason that I ask this is because every single country on the planet has their own way of managing their taxes. For example, there are certain countries that treat their taxes with what is called a territorial tax system. Now, what that means is, if you're not making the money from the physical locale where you are not taxed on that income. That basically means that for certain countries, if you're making money with a business that is registered overseas and it's not from inside of the country, you're not taxed on it. Whereas there are countries that it doesn't matter whether your business is registered outside the country or whether it's registered inside of the country, as long as you live inside of that country, then you will be taxed for both your local income and your international income. So some people, if you're the kind of person that feels like, okay, you don't want to register your business and then pay taxes in your country for money that you're making outside of the country, guys, so my camera died on me. I just wanted to add that what I was saying before I was cut off was that if you don't want to pay taxes on your worldwide income, maybe you might not want to consider registering your business in the US. However, I do still think that you might be missing out on expanding your business and really doubling or tripling your income by expanding to an international audience. So let's get on with the rest of the video. Alright, so knowing this information, you can decide, okay, does my country have a tax treaty with the US? And then you can determine whether you want to move forward with it. And this is something that you should really consider. If you had to ask my own expert opinion, I would tell you that I really recommend registering in the US over anywhere else, especially if your clientele is based in the US. This is because even though upfront registering your business in the US takes a bit longer than maybe somewhere like the UK, and it also costs slightly higher. I think in the UK you can register your business for $100 and it's done in a few days. But when you think about your business in the long run, you will find out that actually registering your business in the US is much cheaper. This is because the ongoing cost of running your business in the US will be smaller in the long term rather than paying a high percentage of taxes to the UK, for instance. And that is why I personally decided to register my business in the US. So knowing this, you'll be asking, okay, what are the things that I need in order for me to get Stripe? I know I'm going to register my business. What should I know? And all of those kind of things. To give you a just very quick summary, you will need an LLC, which is the registering of the business. I recommend going with an LLC unless your accountant or your tax lawyer specifically requests that you should create a corporation. Do not create a corporation. Most of us small business owners, an LLC will be a better choice than a corporation for your business. And the reason is because when you register an LLC, it actually has much less overhead as a business versus registering a corporation, which will require more paperwork and is almost always subject to double taxation. This is something that you should put in mind, and that's why I don't recommend using Stripe Atlas, because Stripe Atlas usually registers people as corporations, and you even have to apply in order for them to decide whether they want to register your business for you. And then they most likely will register you as a corporation because they work mostly with startups, so startup businesses which require VC funding. And if your business is going to need funding, you most likely would need to do a corporation. So they will register you as a corporation, and then you'll be paying extra taxes, you'll be paying extra money, and it takes a lot more paperwork than using an LLC. Something to note, definitely use an LLC if you're a small business owner. Now, if you want to see my video about why I don't recommend Stripe Atlas, you should check the link thingy here, and you'll be able to see that video. You can watch why I don't recommend Stripe Atlas. It's more in-depth and explanatory. So given all of this information, you can now determine whether you still want to go through with registering your business in the US or you want to go through with registering your business elsewhere. If you do decide that you want to register your business in the US, I highly recommend that you should use my course, the LLC Formula, to help you through that registration. Now, this is not a service. I just want to put this out there. This is not a service. I am not going to help you register your business. But what I have done is that I have documented the entire process from start to finish, everything that you need to know, all the documents that you need, how to shortcut the process, because currently it's taking a lot of time for people to get an EIN, and I can show you how you can shortcut that process to about a week to 2 weeks. And it also gives you my recommendations for states that you should register your US business in, who you should use as your registered agent, and in general how to reduce the amount that you spend to register your business and to manage your business in general. So I highly recommend it. I have over 200 students who have bought that course. They absolutely love it, and you can check it out at www.thelLCformula.com. I'll also leave a link in the description for you to check it out, and I promise you that you're going to love it. So now that you have all of this information, the ball is in your court. You decide what you want to do with your business, but I would really love to see you expand your business globally. So don't wait to make that decision whether you want to register your business in the US. So thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions. It really helps when you like and you subscribe. It helps other people see the video, and if you know anybody who will benefit from this information, please share it. It's free. All they have to do is click on the video to watch. So don't forget to share with all your friends and anybody who will need to learn about a US LLC, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.